So I got scammed by my travel nurse company. And I think it's finally time to share all the juicy details. Everyone's been begging for all the details for weeks and weeks now. And honestly, I've been too afraid to share anything until it was like completely over with. But now I think it's time to share all of the juicy details, the information, everything. So if you're new here and you haven't heard by now, I'm a travel nurse. I recently took an assignment maybe 2 months ago in Washington, and I got completely scammed by my travel nurse company, and I had to beg for my money every single week and probably lost so many hours of pay. And I don't know about you, but I don't like working for free. I don't know anybody that likes working for free. So there's a lot of information. So I'm going to turn this into a big series about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company. I'm going to tell you everything from start to finish, all of the details. So the little backstory on this is I'm an LPN. I've been working in long-term care for the last 8 years now, which is like nursing homes basically. I've been a travel nurse for the last year, like travel nurse, and I've been doing agency work for the last 3 years, but overall long-term care for 8 years. So I'm going to start a whole part 1, part 2, part 3 series, whatever, of exactly from start to finish what happened and how I got scammed and how it all got resolved. This is part 1 about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company. My name is Hannah. I recently just finished a travel nurse assignment here in Spokane, Washington. And I'm going to tell you all the juicy details about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company. Scammed meaning I had to beg for my money every single week, had to threaten to get lawyers, go to the state, everything like that. We've been planning on taking an assignment in Spokane, Washington for like years now. My husband's friends live here in Spokane, Washington, and we thought it'd be the funnest thing ever to be able to like live with them, and then I would only have to work like 3 days a week. My husband works from home. We've been planning this forever. If you know anything about travel nursing, it's pretty hard to like find an exact place, day, time, like for an assignment. It gets kind of tricky. But luckily, I found an assignment and I found a recruiter and they said, hey, we have an assignment in Spokane, Washington. It's 8 weeks. It's long-term care. Like, you're perfect for it. So I was absolutely thrilled. But they said, hey, they only are wanting 8-hour shifts. I'm like, I really do not want to do 8-hour shifts. Is there any way we can do like 2 16s and then an 8-hour shift, just 3 days in depth? My recruiter messaged the like project manager or whatever, and they said that they could do that. They could do the 2 16s and the 8, no problem. I signed a contract for 8 weeks for $17.20 a week, which honestly it's nothing crazy pay-wise. I'm an LPN. But honestly, we weren't really coming out here to make a ton of money. We were coming out here to live with our friends. But when I say we weren't coming out here for a ton of money, I was still going to work every day. So I was expecting money. I wasn't expecting to work for free. So the end of March, my family and I drove from Utah to Spokane, Washington, which was about 10, 11 hours. We paid 2 months rent to live with our friends. Yes, we were living with our friends, but of course we were going to still pay rent. And we fully expected to be here for 8 weeks. So my first week here, I was waiting for like a first day instruction kind of thing. I was here for, I think, 2 full days before they finally reached out and said, hey, here's your first day. So I very easily could have gotten a full week of work that first week, but then they didn't schedule me to the end of the week. So then they were claiming that like I couldn't get a full week of pay. So basically how guaranteed hours work is that if you, in your contract, you want to make sure that it says guaranteed hours for like 40 or 36 hours or whatever it is. That means no matter how many hours you work, as long as you don't call off sick or request time off or whatever, you are guaranteed your 40 hours of pay, even if you only worked, say, 20 hours. So my first day of work, they told me, hey, we actually don't do 16-hour shifts. I don't know who told you that, but we actually can put you on our 12-hour shift side, and that way you only have to work your 3 or 4 days. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. I hate 8-hour shifts. Please put me on that 12-hour side. I showed up to work the next day, scheduled for a 12-hour, but then I got floated to the 8-hour side because there's always like a call off or something. Like the 12-hour shift side was the skilled like rehab side and the 8-hour was for the long term. But this place from the day I got there was so overstaffed. I was like, why in the world am I here as a travel nurse when they don't even need me? The only reason I was getting an assignment every single day is because people were calling off. But regardless of that, I got like, I think I worked maybe 20 hours that first week. So I was expecting a small paycheck because they said I wasn't able to claim that guaranteed, but I was still expecting to get a decent sized paycheck. That first paycheck was $75. Let's continue this in part 2. Part 2 about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company. $72. My first paycheck was $72. I knew it was going to be small, but I didn't realize it was going to be that small. At this point, I was a little like concerned and I was kind of frustrated, but I didn't really realize how extreme this was going to be to battle it out. I thought it was going to be like some simple error that it was going to get resolved. No big deal. We would move forward. I was on a weekly contract for $17.20 a week. And so my next paycheck wouldn't be coming until Friday. I called my recruiter. She answered and she says, oh yeah, like something about how the facility didn't submit my hours properly or something weird with the facility. They're always blaming on the facility. Like it was the facility's fault that the hours weren't coming through properly. Even though I was clocking in and out on my phone and clocking in and out at the facility to have that double verification or something like that. So I'm like, whatever, it'll get resolved. I go back to work. I now work a full week of work, so 40 hours. So that should be the 1720 plus everything I'm owed from the last check, right? Wrong. My next check was $920. So not even close to what they owed me. So now I'm starting to get pretty frustrated because I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, how are we messing up this bad? I've worked with so many different companies in the past and I've never had any issues with this ever. But still, I'm like, whatever, I'll keep clocking in and out. As long as I'm here every single day, eventually I'm gonna get paid, right? Yeah. Then I go to work and my scheduler says, hey, we don't need you anymore. We're fully staffed, so we don't need you at all. So now, on top of getting a $72 paycheck and a $900 paycheck, I'm now being terminated. Which, I didn't know that was a thing. I'm like, well, I signed a contract from this day to this day. I didn't realize you could just terminate me. So I call my recruiter, panicking, and she has no idea. They told me before they told her. They did some digging in their contract with the facility, and they said the facility legally has to give the travel company a 30-day written notice that they are terminating one of their employees. I signed a 8-week contract. We're now like 2 weeks in, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but enough to kind of send a little bit of panic at first. So once we realized that you have to give me that 30-day notice, I settle in a little bit, but I'm still like, I want my money. That's great that I still have a job, but where's my money? Now, by this point, I've talked to several other nurses at the building, and there's a couple other travel nurses with the same company, and they've all said that they've had no issues. And everybody laughs at me every single day for still showing up to work without getting paid. But I'm very chill about it. I'm very nice about it. I'm just like, you know what? If I'm coming to work, eventually I'm going to get paid, right? I'm not that worried. Let's go to part 3. Part 3 about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company, and I wasn't getting paid for like 7 weeks. Basically, where we left off is that the facility I was working at was now terminating me because they had no need for me. I just picked up my entire family and drove like 11 hours to get here, and I was ticked. But then I talked to the scheduler, and they're like, actually, we're just gonna switch you to the 8-hour side of the facility permanently instead of having to do 12 hours, so then we kind of do have a need for you. And now, instead of doing 3 12s, I now have to do 5 8-hour shifts, so I was a little ticked because I live 40 miles away, and I was not planning on working every single day. And honestly, at this point, I was really just getting the vibe that the facility didn't like me for some reason. I don't know, it seemed pretty hostile. Some of the coworkers, they weren't super friendly all the time. And I just felt like they were I felt like I was being punished for like them having to keep me around for those 30 days left of the contract. So I felt very punished, and they were putting me on that 8-hour side where I didn't want to be. And I felt like they didn't need me there. I'm like, why? It was the easiest assignment ever. I'm like, why am I here? Like, there is no need for me. But nonetheless, it was an easy job. Go to work. It's easy. You don't do a whole lot. You get paid, right? Sounds like everyone's dream. Yeah, it's a dream if you get paid. That's when it's a dream. So Friday comes. Friday's payday, right? My check was $400 or $500 short. Not that big of a deal, but I'm not a rich person. $400 or $500 is a lot of money. Like, that's equivalent to a full shift or two, basically. Not to mention that they owed me several hundred from the weeks prior. So my current check for that current week was $500 short. Plus the check before that was $900. Plus the one that was $72 before that. So obviously there's a lot of money missing. And the worst part about getting paid on Fridays is the time difference. So by the time I get paid, and the time that, all my recruiters go home on a Friday, it's now the weekend. I can't call anybody. So I'm just here, just mad for the whole weekend that I didn't get paid. Monday rolls around, I call my recruiter, and she says, oh, it's the facility's problem. The facility isn't reporting your hours. It's the facility's problem. Funny, because I've been talking to the DON, the managers, the payroll, HR. It's all clear on their point. Everything has been approved in their systems. It's not an error on the facility's part. It's an error on your part, Becky. But for the 4th time, she said it will all be there next Friday. Well, was it there next Friday? Go to part 4. Part 4 about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company, had to get lawyers and the state involved to get my pay. Now, if you're new to this series, this is part 4, so go back and watch parts 1, 2, and 3 so you can be caught up to this point. Cool. So they said next Friday you'll get your pay, right? I heard that 4 effing times and it was never true. But Friday came along, my check was about $1,650, which kind of adds up when it comes to taxes. So I was like, great. That's a full week's of work at least. But where's the freaking rest of it? Because this is the 4th paycheck. At least that one was paid in full, right? But weeks 1, 2, and 3 were not paid in full. So you owe me all of those. So me and my husband at this point were just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, what? Why is this so freaking hard? Why? So I call my recruiter and I get the automated response of, I'm sorry, I'm out of town for the next week or so. So please contact so-and-so who will be covering my job. I call him. You know what he does? Doesn't answer. So I call again. Doesn't answer. So I text him. I said, yo, bro, my name's Hannah. There's been an issue. If you haven't been following with what's her name, my recruiter, let me catch you up. Like, you guys owe me a lot of money, and so someone needs to figure this out ASAP. He texts me back right away. Okay, so I'm like, great. This guy obviously has his phone. Let me call. I call him. Rings twice, straight to voicemail. Obviously, he's getting these phone calls, and he's choosing not to answer. Like, really, how professional of you? Are we 12? Like, really? You can't answer the freaking phone? So, he decides we're going to communicate over text. Like a bunch of high schoolers. Real professional. This guy are sending, like, novel-long texts back and forth about my pay. And he's telling me, we don't owe you anything. You don't owe me anything. You owe me a lot. Because it's been 4 full weeks, and only one of those paychecks has been somewhat near full. Like, if you're new to this, if you're new to your job, even though you're the manager, you know, my contract says $17.20. Not a single week has been anywhere close to that. So that means you owe me a lot of money. So I sent him all the screenshots of all of my timesheets, my paychecks, my pay stubs, everything. The literal contract where it says how much money. And still, I'm still trying to call this guy, while we're texting back and forth. And every time I call him, rings twice and he hangs up. Which is seriously the dumbest thing ever. Like, just answer the freaking phone. We can literally clear this up in about a 2-minute conversation if you can just answer the phone. He keeps telling me that they don't owe me anything. So I'm getting frustrated at this point. I'm getting very, very frustrated. But still, I'm like frustrated, but still like polite. You know, like a frustrated polite where I'm still professional, but I'm ticked. He then goes on to say that I am harassing his company, I am attacking his employees, and that I need to basically, like, leave it alone. Leave it alone? Don't tell me to leave it alone. I don't know anybody that would want to leave it alone. Like, I'm sorry, sir. I've had like 80 plus hours at this facility that you have not been paying me for. Like, you're lucky that I have a little bit in savings to be able to pay my bills. I'm getting pretty heated, so let's go to the next part. All right, part 5 about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company and had to beg for my money. Like, travel nurse company from hell. This was the worst contract I've ever had in my entire life. At this point, I'm literally working for free. And I've just accepted the fact that I'm going to work every single day, and I have no idea if I will ever get paid. Like, very likely, I could be going to work every single day for completely free. I want to work every single day, and I'm just in a bad mood overall. I get to work every day, and I'm just like, I don't want to be here because I'm working for free. Nothing against the facility. It was fine, but I was just overall in a bad mood, right? And at this point, my recruiter is still out of town, which I don't know if I really buy that, but whatever. So her boss, the manager, whatever, the other recruiter guy is now covering my case. I say covering very lightly because he wasn't doing jack. I still try to call, text, probably, honestly, I kid you not, probably 10 times a day. With literally nothing in response. At this point, I'm very, very convinced that they just had my phone number blocked. So I had my husband call. I gave my husband my recruiter's information as well as like the main reception phone. And I'm like, just call a million times until you can talk to somebody. Maybe just call and say that you're like a potential travel nurse and you want to talk to somebody. Like, literally don't even call and say that you're associated to me whatsoever. He calls. They pick up on the first freaking time. So my husband calls, talks to the same recruiter guy. They say they get it all figured out, right? The guy says they owe me, they did an audit and they owe me, I think it was like $3,200 one week. And then, like, I was going to get a check for $3,200 as well as my $1,720 paycheck. So that's a lot of money. Basically, my husband calls me, tells me everything's going to be fine. You're going to receive your normal paycheck this week. It'll have the rest of the money that you are owed from the previous weeks. We can relax for a little bit. No, we relaxed, but we should not have. Tell me why Friday came and I received $0. 0. Not 75, not 900, 0. Literally just absolutely just mind boggled at this point. How is it so freaking hard to submit a paycheck? Like, my contract says $7,200. No matter what I work, give me $7,200. I don't call in sick. I don't request time off. I'm always there. I'm working 5-6 days a week. Just assume that I'm always freaking there. So when your system says that there's no check pending for me for Friday, no. So finally Monday rolls around. My husband calls back and he says, WTF, bro? Where's the freaking money? This guy says, oh, I have in our system that it was supposed to go through. It was your bank's fault. My bank, I've been using the bank for the last 10 years, and I've never had an issue with it. It's not a holiday. There's no reason that it just shouldn't be coming through. So that's BS. That's a lie. You just forgot to submit it probably. So he says, okay, next Thursday, you'll receive a check for $3,200. That was the audit that they did from that week that I got $0, and the previous weeks. They owed me $3,200 plus the $1,720 that I was currently working in that pay period. Yeah. Go to the next part. We'll talk about it. Part 6, about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company and worked for literally the worst company in the entire world. So we left off where I was saying that the guy said that I was going to be paid $3,200 on Thursday and $1,720 on Friday. No. Incorrect. Thursday comes, I got $2,600, not 32, 26. My pay rate is $16.50 an hour. That's how it works as a travel nurse. So yeah, a little bit of taxes get taken out, but not, like, how much is that? $600? No. But not even in my gross pay, whereas in my gross pay on my pay stub, did it say $3,200? I think it said like 28, and I got paid $2,600. So at this point, I'm so mentally drained by this point. It is exhausting. But he said Friday I was gonna get another paycheck. Friday I was gonna get $1,720, so let's wait till Friday. Friday comes. I get nothing. Now basically I'm owed 2 full pay stubs. $1,720 from this week and the $1,720 from last week that I never got. Now I'm pissed. I've been mad for a while. I've been kind of polite. I'm losing my politeness. I'm not professional anymore. I am pissed. But yet, I'm still going to work like a freaking idiot. At this point, I'm just afraid that if I basically stop going to work or I cancel the rest of my contract, I'm going to be in breach of contract or whatever, and then I'm not going to get paid at all. That was my fear, is that if I somehow break it on my end, and they're going to say something stupid of like, oh, well, you terminated it on your own end, or you stopped showing work, so we don't owe you anything. And they owed me a lot, so that was my fear. So I kept going to work diligently, like a good little employee. But I'm pissed, and honestly, this is causing a big strain on my relationship, because this is all we are talking about, is when the frick our money is coming. This is the most exhausting battle, and we were talking about it 100% of the day. So I call this company probably 50 times, and they don't answer. I use the work phone, my facilities phone, they don't answer. My husband calls, they don't freaking answer. I text, no answer. The most unprofessional thing I've ever witnessed in my entire life. Like, you're my recruiter. You're my travel agency. I am here in a completely random state, trusting you guys. You guys put me here. You put me here. We signed a contract. You're supposed to be my go-to if I have any questions or concerns or anything. It's a little bit bogus that you guys don't even answer anything. So finally, I go into my DON's office and I say, look, I can't do this by myself anymore. I need you to freaking help me, please. Can you please call this company, whatever your contact is, and say, hey, if you don't pay this girl the money that you owe her, we're going to cut ties, basically. Funny. When she calls, they answer. She calls, talks to this random COO main dog person. He says, oh yeah, I've been talking to the recruiters. I've been talking to payroll. We don't owe her anything. You don't owe me anything? Are you freaking kidding me? At this point, I just start laughing. I'm laughing, I'm crying. I'm ready to explode out of my skin. Let's go to the next part. Part 7, about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company and worked for the worst company in the entire world. At this point, I'm just so freaking drained. I have hardly any fight left in me. It's been like 5 or 6 weeks and I've never once received a full paycheck. Where we left off is that my manager had called the COO or whatever their top dog was, and he said that we did 4 different audits and we don't owe her anything. And then payroll sends me the most confusing audit in the entire world that makes no sense to me. I'm pretty sure they're just trying to confuse me enough and tell me enough times that they don't owe me anything that eventually I'll just give up. Like, honestly, this place had no idea what they were doing. They didn't know what the sky was to their butt was. They don't know anything. Like, do not see in your system there have been 2 weeks where I received $0. Do you not see that in your system? How are you telling me that you don't owe me anything? But the illegal part was that my facility, the facility that I'm working for, is paying you guys for me. So obviously they're paying you and you're just pocketing that money. Sounds pretty illegal to me, right? But whatever. I'm literally standing there while my manager is talking to this guy, and the guy is saying we don't owe her anything, and I about lose it. Now my manager's looking at me like I'm the crazy one. She's looking at me like, oh, well, he's saying that they don't owe you anything, but yet you're coming to us every single day complaining about this problem. I'm about to pull my hair out. I'm about to go crazy. Check me into the freaking mental hospital because I'm gonna freaking lose it. Like, no, you're gonna call me crazy. I'm the crazy one? Are you kidding me? So I leave work that day. I leave work and I'm just so... I have no idea. I feel like I'm getting pranked, honestly, at this point. I'm like, where's the freaking camera? Somebody's pranking me. Something's going on. But then my recruiter, out of the blue, texts me and I'm like, haven't heard from you in a freaking while. Look, you're alive. Who knew? She texts me, not calls me, she texts me, and she says, oh, we did a little audit. Here's all the hours that you're missing. Gave me almost 40 hours that were missed. I know that's not all of it, but hey, that's a start. Told you I wasn't freaking crazy. That's almost 40 hours that you guys just found in one of your audits. But yeah, we've done 4 audits, and we don't owe her anything. She's just the crazy one. How do you do 4 audits, find nothing, and then randomly you do one and find 40 hours? That's a lot of hours. Like, you tell me if you want to work 40 hours for free. Work 40 hours, move out to a random freaking state in the United States, leave her family every freaking day for free? You call me the crazy one, really? Really? So I call my husband. I'm like, hey, this is great news. This is great. It's in writing. I have it in writing here that she owes me this much money. On Friday, we're going to get paid. It's so funny looking back that I thought we were going to get paid. That we were like, oh, we got it. Easy, right? No, not at all. Part 8, about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company and worked for the worst company in the entire world. Well, now I have my recruiter in writing. I have it in writing, in text, saying that she owes us, that the company owes me at least 40 hours of pay. So that's a minimum of almost like $2,000. I know for sure there was so much more underneath there that they hadn't found yet. Like, it's not that hard. Just do 1720 times how many weeks I've been here, and that's what you owe me. Like, that's not that hard. See that I've never called in once, never requested off, never done anything. So obviously, 1720, I've been here 5 full weeks. Give me 5 full weeks. Let's just move on. But that would be too simple, right? She said they owe me 40 hours. Approved 40 hours, right? So obviously, like, 40 hours is a 1720 paycheck, right? You owe me 40 hours plus all the stipends. That's 1720 plus the 1720 that I just finished. So right there, that's 3440. Easy math, right? I'm not good at math, and even I know that. She said it was coming on Friday. You know how many times I've heard that statement? It's coming on Friday. My check was $1,300. At this point, I'm just like, that's not even 1 full week. That's not even 40 hours. Where are you getting $1,300? Like, they are literally just making numbers out of their butt. Like, where are you getting these freaking numbers from? I honestly don't even understand how you can mess it up this badly. Literally, 1720 times 2. That's all. That's it. Maybe a little bit of taxes taken out. Whatever, I don't care. Where are you getting $1,300? I'm mind boggled. I just truly don't understand how a company could be this horrible. I honestly have no idea. Like, I would be embarrassed to work for this company. I truly would be so embarrassed to ever be associated with them ever again. At this point, my husband and I decided that we need to quit. I need to be done. I've put forth so many hours, and I think at this point I only had like maybe 10 days left of the assignment, and I just can't do it anymore. So basically, I called the facility and say, hey, I'm not going to be there tomorrow. I need to figure out what's going on first. So I call out for my shift. I haven't done that in years. because I know I'm going to go march into that administrator's office. I'm going to say, please help me. I am not leaving your office today until we get this figured out, until I have a paper check in my hand. I knew I could not be on the floor working, getting paid, and be focused on dealing with all this stuff. So I had to have my full attention in this lady's office. So I call my recruiter. I'm sitting in her office and I say, hi. I leave a message, of course, because she doesn't answer. I say, hi, I'm sitting in my administrator's office. Can you please give me a call back? She texts me and says, oh yeah, have her text me at this number. No, answer your freaking phone. Answer the freaking phone. So she calls my administrator. I give her my administrator's number and she calls her. Oh, sorry. She doesn't call her. She gives that number to somebody else person. They told me it was like the sales rep kind of person. It was the facilities representative with the travel nurse company is what I was told. You know what this facility guy said? This facility representative? He said, why don't you have her try calling her recruiter? I can't make this up. He literally said, has she tried calling her recruiter? Have I tried? What do you mean, have I tried? Literally 300 times. Literally, go check my call history, 300. He said, have you tried calling the boss over her? Yeah, he was the one that said I was attacking and harassing his company. So yeah, I tried. We're almost done. Go to the next part. Part 9 about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company and worked for the worst company in the entire world. So my administrator is talking to this guy, this facility representative, whatever guy, right? He's asking my administrator the stupidest questions. Has she tried calling her recruiter? Has she tried calling the boss? Has she done any of this? And I'm like, what? Yeah, about 6 weeks ago. What are you freaking talking about? You guys let it drag on this long? Are you kidding me? So he's like, oh, let me do an audit and see what we're missing here. And I said, no, we're not hanging up this phone call. We are not doing anything. I'm going to sit here on the phone with you until you can figure out what's going on, and you will be writing me a paper check today. So basically now I take the phone from my administrator. I'm talking to this guy, and I'm not going to leave this lady's office until we get this figured out. Until basically she told me, hey, can you take this conversation elsewhere? Like, I got stuff to do, which I totally understand. I did bombard her office for a good hour or so. So we left off with the guy when he said that we're going to do an audit and we'll figure out what's going on. Said, whatever, dude. Like, what the freaking heck? He finds out that he's been submitting his hours. So basically how it works is that I guess I submit my hours to my recruiter confirms it with the facility. My recruiter then submits those hours to this guy, because then he's in charge of like billing the facility, whatever. So he's submitting those hours to a guy that doesn't even work there at the facility anymore. Like, oh yeah, I've been submitting it to so-and-so, and my facility's like, that guy hasn't worked here in 2 months. How do you not realize that the guy hasn't been worked there for 2 months? Like, really, are you that bad at your job that you don't notice that? Honestly, I just think it's excuse after excuse at this point. I don't understand how some money could get processed, but not the whole thing. And $72, $900, $1,300. I don't understand anything. So while I'm sitting in my administrator's office, I say, okay, send those hours to her right now. She will approve them right now. We will get this thing straightened out. So basically, now that she's confirmed it, I'm like, what else are we waiting for then? Write the paper check. Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, whatever you want. Just freaking get it to me now, because I have bills to pay. I have a mortgage. I have rent. I have things I need to pay for, and I haven't been getting paid. Are you going to pay for my like late fees? Are you going to pay for all of these extra things that I'm missing because you're not paying me? No, didn't think so. So as I'm walking out of this building, my recruiter calls me. I'm like, well, look, you're freaking alive. And she answers the phone and she's like, hi. How's it going, Hannah? And I could be better. I freaking could be better. How are you? Then I proceeded to talk to her on the phone for a good 45 minutes. She tried to say that she was going to audit it and call me back. And I said, nope, you're going to put me on hold. You're going to put me on mute because we are not ending this conversation until it's ended. Oh, freaking finally. She said that they had found those 40 hours that they said they're going to pay me, plus the 40 hours from that current week that I didn't get paid out. Plus, I think there was like another... whatever the remainder was from that week where I got $1,300, that $400, whatever they owed me, that was in there too. Supposedly, I guess. So at this point, I've only missed 1 day of work, and I'm just debating, like, hey, do I finish out the rest of, like, the 7 days of the assignment or whatever? And I asked my recruiter, I said, hey, what are the penalties if I don't finish out this contract? Like, I have 7 days left. I'm just afraid that we're gonna get this whole thing settled. Like, we already have everything approved and confirmed right now. I'm worried that if I go work another week, it's gonna be a whole nother fight getting that paycheck. Like, I just want to get this settled right now. And she says basically the only penalty for not finishing out your assignment is that you will have to be put up for review to see if you can get rehired in the future. And I said, oh, really? That's the only issue here is if I don't finish my contract, then I can't get rehired? Because no freaking problem. You promise I will never get rehired ever again? Because trust me, I'm never using your company ever again. So I told her, I said, I will not be returning. You can tell the facility. I have 7 days left and I will not be returning. Okay, one more part and then I promise I'm done. Part 10 about how I got scammed by my travel nurse company. The worst company in the entire world. And this is the last and final part. So if you haven't watched anything else, and if this is the first video you're seeing, you need to go catch up. This is too advanced for you. My recruiter says the only consequence, penalty, whatever you want to say, for not finishing an assignment is that I'll have to be put up for review to see if I can then get rehired in the future for a new contract. Like, this is the best news I've ever heard. Like, really? That's the only consequence? Because please give that to me, because I never ever want to be associated with your company ever again. I was just worried that, like, if I were to, like, not finish out my contract, then I was going to be in breach of contract or whatever, and I was not going to get that money that I was owed. So when she said that the only consequence was me not being able to be rehired, that was the best news in the freaking world. So today is Tuesday. I'm supposed to be getting a check on Friday. We'll see if it comes. I've said that 7 times now. It was an 8-week contract and I've said that 7 times. Wondering if my paycheck's gonna come. We'll see. Honestly, guys, I hope you never have to deal with Marvel Medical Staffing ever in your entire life. Marvel Medical Staffing. Never. Don't ever use them. If you ever hear from somebody from that company, just run for the hills. Run. I don't care if you see a contract for $5,000 a week with Marvel Medical. I can guarantee you will not be getting that $5,000 a week. They're going to send you a check for like $60, $2,000 and say, oh, it's coming. No, it's never coming. Amongst this whole process, yes, I have contacted lawyers. I've contacted the state in Washington and also the state where the company's based out of to try and figure out, like, worst case scenario, like, will I win this case if it goes like a court situation? I talked to lawyers, I talked to the state. They all said I have a good case and that basically you could, if you needed to sue, you could sue for 3 or 4 times the amount of what they owe you. I just don't want it to come to that point. Obviously, yes, that sounds great to get 3 or 4 times what they owe you, but I just want to be done. I want my money and I want to be done. I never want to hear or talk to them ever again. Because going to the state, going with lawyers, that could be months and months. So, this Friday, we'll see if I ever hear from them, if I get a paycheck in full, and that's that. I mean, I kind of feel bad that I quit, you know, and I didn't really give them much notice, but I stayed way too long. I honestly stayed way too long. They all thought I was crazy for staying as long as I did. So thanks for listening. I'm sorry this was so freaking long. I just wanted to give all of the details and all the juice. So yeah, Marvel Medical, never work for them, ever. Honestly, after this assignment, I'm done being a travel nurse for a while. We're gonna go home. We've got exciting things coming. So I think I just need to be done being a travel nurse for a little bit. So stay tuned for what's coming next. So did I ever get paid on Friday? What do you think? I did, partially. Partially. From what they told me they were gonna give me versus what I know I earned, right? From my timesheets and everything. That's okay, pick it up. Basically, from what they told me they were going to give me, like, their breakdown versus my breakdown on my timesheets, it's pretty short. But I messaged my recruiter right back after she told me the breakdown, and nothing. Literally no comment. This is literally giving me gray hairs. I'm 25, and I have gray hairs. Cool. But yeah, we're going home tomorrow, and so I'm just done. I want the whole thing just to be in the past. This is just a nightmare. And I'm sure they didn't like dealing with me either. I don't know what the whole reasoning was, because there were so many travel nurses with this same company that they didn't have any problems, right? They all got their exact paychecks, and so I have no idea. Based on my calculations, it was about $500 or $600 short, I think. I'd have to go back and check, but yeah. So I got majority of it, but it was still short. Before all this would have happened, I would have said, like, of course, like, I'm gonna fight for everything. But I'm just done. I'm done. Like, it sucks, but my husband and I both agree that it's just not worth the fight because I know it's never gonna come. So yeah, that's my update. It came, but it was short, and I'm just done. Hopefully no one ever has to deal with this company ever again, and no one ever has to deal with problems like this.
Now the question is, will I ever be a travel nurse ever again, or has this traumatized me? I don't know. We'll see. We'll all see.